Coming from a low-income family, I was always told by my mother that an education was probably the most important inheritance she would leave me with. When I was very young, I got interested in languages. So when I was 12, I started to take English lessons. To be honest, at the beginning, English was not a language that came naturally to me, and it was a little bit of a struggle. But I knew that the knowledge of this language was going to eventually take me somewhere. When I was 16 years old, I decided I wanted to learn how to speak French. So I started taking classes in a really good institute sponsored by the embassies of France in Venezuela. I had really good professors, and I completely fell in love with French. In school, I was fascinated by science. Chemistry and biology were my favorite classes. So I decided that I wanted to follow a career in healthcare. Med school seemed very appealing to me. So I spent a significant amount of my time studying for a med school entrance exam that you take after you finish high school in Venezuela. Getting into med school in Venezuela is very competitive. It's free. It's hard to get in, but I was determined to get in. So I took an exam with 4,000 other students in the hope of getting one of the 300 spots available. I got the third highest score. My family was very proud. I was very proud. And you know, when you work very hard for something and you get good results, it just feels great. But for me, it felt like I was following the crowd. And I could not stand the feeling of knowing how my life was going to be like in the next 10 or 15 years. So, also, the educational system in Venezuela is very structured. You're always told which classes to take, and elective classes are sometimes not even an option. I had an impulse to explore, to discover, but I wasn't raised in a society or in a country that was allowing me to do so. So I decided to put off med school for a year and do a high school year abroad. And if you don't know, Dora and I have the same last name. And she's also Latina. I didn't know that until like two days ago. And so I decided to come to the US, and I was placed in Topeka, Kansas. So yes, it was very flat, it was brown, the weather always changes, always. And I wasn't home anymore. I was alone. And you know, while you might think that there might not be that much room for exploration in Topeka, Kansas, there was, at least for me. I was able to take classes that I wouldn't have been able to take in Venezuela. I took a US history class. I took a photography class. I took a US government class. I even took enough classes to get a second high school diploma. But more importantly, I met a lifelong friend, a girl from India who had just moved to the US and who, just like me, was struggling to adjust to a new culture. And you know, sometimes we're afraid to go outside and explore because we think that things that are different are scary sometimes, that the world is cold. But when I decided to go outside out of my country and move to the US to do a high school year abroad, I found her. She's a wonderful person, and I hope I get to see her again. It is very hard for me to explain what made me eventually decide getting a college education in the US. It might have been because I still felt the need to explore, to meet new people, to experience different cultures. It might have also been because I have always been an idealist. And I think a lot of people come to the US because they're very idealistic. The public health system in Venezuela had always frustrated me, and I did not find myself working as a healthcare provider in a system that is completely falling apart, and that I was not going to have any power to change, at least not with the current government. So I applied to different universities in the US, One of them was the University of Oregon. Since I got here, a lot of people have asked me, oh, so how did you get to, well, first of all, they asked me where I'm from. So, hi, where are you from? I'm from Venezuela. Oh, so how did you get to Oregon? I got to Oregon by airplane. And you know, they laugh. Sometimes they don't laugh because they think I'm sarcastic. But I think that sometimes, I think most of the time people are always, they ask you questions and they want you to give them a logical answer, but you sometimes don't have a logical answer to give them. And I remember the first time I talked to someone from Eugene. It was an international recruiter. I had some questions about the application. And I talked to that person. He was so welcoming and nice. And I was like, if people in Eugene are like that, that's a place I want to be at. I know recruiters are always nice and welcoming, but people in Eugene have welcomed me. It was also very green. Actually, when I saw this photo, I was like, they're totally photoshopping the photos. But when I came here, it was that green. I like that. And I also thought that this place was going to be a more friendly place for a vegetarian than Kansas ever was. I'm currently a senior majoring in human physiology and anatomy and minoring in biology and chemistry. Since I started taking classes at U of O, I was challenged by my professors to think critically and to think outside the box. I felt comfortable asking them why. This doesn't make sense to me. Why don't we look at it from a different angle? The general education component of my education has allowed me to take classes that were completely distinct from my major. You know, and I find it interesting because I felt they were giving me puzzle pieces that I was able to put together in a way that was meaningful to me. And I think a lot of people think about general education as checkboxes that they need to complete. And it's not that. It's more than that. It's an opportunity for you to explore. I took a very basic class about music. I didn't know anything about music. The class was called Understanding the Music. And after I took that class, I feel I'm able to experience the music in a different way. It's more beautiful to me. I did not only take basic lower division classes for my general education requirements. I also challenged myself and I took upper division classes. One of these classes was Introduction to Linguistic Analysis. This class is designed for linguistic majors, or for what the linguistic department likes to call other linguistically sophisticated students. And I like to think of myself as a linguistically sophisticated student because I took the class and unexpectedly became one of the most amazing classes I've taken at the U of O. I took the class because I have always been very passionate about languages. And I also wanted to understand the reason being of the main distinct feature people notice on me when they first hear me talk, my accent, which I hope you guys have noticed already. I think that I had said before that the education in Venezuela is very structured. When I came here, I felt like I have the flexibility I was looking for. For my major, I was not told which classes, all the classes I needed to take. I was able to pick and choose the classes I wanted to take based on my own interest. I was even able to take upper division classes and get a minor in biology and chemistry, which are subjects I really, really enjoy. But I think that the general education component of my education was key. I feel like I'm a more rounded individual. And I think that's so important because we are not just gonna be only professionals. We're human beings and we're individuals who are part of a society. We need to talk to each other in a meaningful way. I have done many things outside the academia. I have done many things. I have been able to share my culture with the community in Eugene and with the students and staff on campus through my scholarship program. I have also been the co-chair and vice chair for the Student Health Advisory Committee. I'm a peer health advisor. I have done community work that have been very meaningful to me. But more importantly, I have met people in my life who have made a clear impact on my life. Some of them are in the audience today. This was a journey I started 5 years ago. I decided to come to the US looking for opportunities that were very uncertain, that promised to be better. I did not follow the crowd. I did not follow a pattern. I did not do what sometimes was expected from me or that was logical for me to do. And you know, I'm not able to see the end point just yet. And I don't think I will ever be able to see it. But I have come to realize that it's not the end point that matters, but what you get to do along the way and the people you meet is. Because after all, the journey is truly the reward. Thank you.